Okay, so when Kim Kardashian makes a major life move,
Hmm.
whether that's launching some huge new business or, Met Gala look,
Hmm.
or like in this case, selling off a really significant piece of real estate.
Yeah, the world definitely notices. People don't just watch, they sort of analyze it, right?
Exactly. Her decisions, they're almost never just personal feelings. They
Hmm.
feel calculated, like brand statements, setting up, well, whatever's next for her.
That's really the heart of it here. And the latest thing getting all this buzz isn't fashion. It's not a new product.
Mhm.
It's actually real estate.
Right. Specifically, her deciding to finally sell that huge Wyoming ranch.
Right.
You got the confirmation it's happening 2025,
Hmm.
and we're not really looking at this like, just balancing the books or something. For someone like her, selling that particular property, it feels like it signals something much bigger, a real shift.
It's definitely a cultural bookmark, as you put it. So our mission today really is to get past just the sale price. We want to dive into all the layers behind this decision. And we're looking at the practical stuff, the business side, the sheer logistics of it, what the family needs now.
Okay.
And I think ask the big question. Is this just Kim tidying up her property portfolio, getting rid of something that doesn't fit anymore? Or is this something more symbolic? Is this Kim Kardashian very publicly kind of closing the book on a whole chapter?
Okay, let's definitely unpack that and maybe start at the beginning. We should
Ooh.
probably rewind to 2019.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when they first bought it, it was kind of a head scratcher, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
You had this couple, like the absolute definition of Calabasas glam and, Parisian chic, suddenly buying thousands of acres in, well, middle of Wyoming. It almost felt like performance art or something.
It really was this collision of worlds. And the place itself, the Monster Lake Ranch near Cody, Wyoming,
Yeah.
it was enormous. Over 4,500 acres. I mean, just to give you a sense of scale, that's bigger than some small countries. It just immediately highlighted how huge and, frankly, unexpected this whole venture was.
So what was the idea behind it? What did that ranch symbolize right at the start? Because it felt like they were making a big statement.
It seemed like it was almost entirely Kanye's vision, really.
Okay.
It represented this idea of personal and artistic reinvention for him, a very deliberate move away from the noise and the pressures of Los Angeles.
Right, escaping the bubble.
Exactly. And he talked about it so passionately, these radical plans he had, moving the whole Yeezy headquarters there, building these futuristic architectural designs, even starting schools. It was meant to be this physical place for his creative energy, his sanctuary.
And the public just ate up the imagery that came out of that Wyoming ranch area, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the whole high fashion meets cowboy boots look, the photos of Kim on horseback with those incredible mountain views. I mean, it was amazing content visually.
Stunning visuals. And of course, those Sunday services held outdoors in the open air, that became a huge pop culture thing.
Definitely.
But, even with all that grand sort of staging, you could always sense maybe a difference in their energy levels about it.
That feels key. Because while Kim was there, she was smiling for the pictures. She talked about finding peace there. A lot of the reporting back then suggested she seemed, well, more cautious. She mentioned how much of an adjustment it was logistically.
Yeah, you got that sense.
It felt like she was kind of the anchor, didn't it? Connecting this very experimental life back to the practical reality of their empire, the kids' schools, just the whole machine of global fame.
Her base was always LA. I mean, she kept the main family home in California the whole time.
Right.
Which was maybe a quiet signal that the ranch wasn't ever going to be her primary world.
Which kind of leads us perfectly into the next part, right? How the meaning of that place changed. It started as this symbol of like a united, bold future. But then as the marriage started showing, well, cracks. The ranch's meaning just completely flipped.
It totally inverted. The property itself, all those thousands of acres, became this huge physical symbol of their growing distance.
And their different goals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Their needs just started going in completely opposite directions.
So you break that down a bit, those diverging needs?
Sure. So for Kanye, Wyoming seemed to remain his, essential refuge. The isolation wasn't a bug, it was the feature.
Right.
He needed that quiet, that space to focus on his music, his designs, all these big visionary projects. The remoteness worked for him artistically.
But Kim's world is just the polar opposite, isn't it?
Exactly. Her whole empire, Skims, SKKN, her move into law, it all depends on being visible, being connected, being global.
She needs LA, New York, Paris.
Right. She needs to be where the deals happen, where the media is, meeting with lawyers, going to fashion weeks, running these huge operations. You just can't do that effectively from rural Wyoming.
Especially the law stuff. Right. That commitment, the studying, the activism.
Yeah, that requires a certain consistency, a certain infrastructure. You can't easily prep for the bar exam or manage, complex global supply chains for skims from a 4,500-acre ranch outside Cody. It just doesn't mesh.
Okay, but here's something I think a lot of people wonder about. If it was important for the kids early on, she obviously has the money, why not just keep it? As a really private vacation spot or just hold on to it as an investment. Why the definite sale in 2025?
That's a really good question, and I think it gets down to the sheer scale of the burden.
Okay.
We're not talking about, like, a cozy cabin in the woods. This is managing thousands of acres. It means staff, significant property taxes in another state, just the constant logistical headache of this massive non-income producing property.
It's an operation.
It's a huge operation. And for Kim, who seems incredibly focused on efficiency and controlling her time and her narrative, the ranch probably became this giant anchor, just ongoing management stress for a life she'd already mentally moved on from years ago. So, okay, let's jump to now. The 2025 sale is confirmed, and it feels like getting rid of it is actually a much bigger statement than buying it ever was.
I think it absolutely is.
Yeah.
When you look at the analysis, there were sort of two main ways people are reading this, and they both kind of work together.
Okay.
The first one is, like you said, just purely practical. It's a smart business decision. She's offloading a high-maintenance asset that served its purpose, or maybe more accurately, his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And she's turning it back into cash that she can probably reinvest into her main businesses, which are all based around LA.
Makes sense. But then there's the other layer, the symbolic one. And
Yeah.
that's what gets all the attention, right?
That's the one that carries all the public weight.
Right.
This idea that it's the definitive clean break from that whole Kanye chapter.
Right.
Like, she's actively getting rid of the physical remnants of that past so she can fully control the story of her future.
Then we have to think about the Kim Kardashian she is now, in 2025. What's the identity she's building and protecting? Exactly. She's a mom, yes, 4 kids. But she's also this powerhouse entrepreneur across multiple sectors. And really importantly, she's positioning herself as a serious law apprentice, potentially with political interests down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Every move she makes now gets filtered through that new, more serious, more sophisticated lens. And keeping the ranch, it kind of complicates that image, doesn't it? It ties back to a period that was often seen as chaotic or dramatic.
It's almost like she needs to remove the physical thing itself to really signal to everyone, maybe even to herself, that she's fully locked into this next, more serious phase.
I think that's a huge part of it. Selling the ranch is also a really savvy PR move. It underlines stability, seriousness. The cowboy Kim look doesn't quite align with the future lawyer Kim brand.
Right.
So selling the property directly supports that professional pivot. It gets rid of this massive physical reminder of a time characterized by a lot of, volatility.
And naturally, this decision just sparks all these questions people want answers to.
Oh, yeah.
Like, does this mean she's changing her whole real estate strategy long term? Does getting rid of this huge tie mean she's opening up space for something new personally?
And that's exactly where her control of the narrative is so strong. Kim knows people read her real estate moves as clues about her emotional state or her future plans. So by selling it, she's the one defining the closure. She's actively shutting the door on those memories, the kids, being young there, what people called the last grand experiment of that marriage.
Wow.
It isn't just about signing a deed. It feels like a really significant act of emotional finality, but executed with total business clarity.
So let's bring it back. For you listening, what's the main takeaway here?
Yeah.
It seems like when someone this famous, whose life plays out in these public milestones, sells a property that was so central to such a defining time, it's just much deeper than land records and market prices.
Absolutely. It's not just, dirt and fences being sold, as the saying goes. It feels like Kim formally announcing that her transition is complete. It shows this incredible ability to reinvent herself and also this very disciplined focus on shaping her own story moving forward.
Making sure there are no leftover pieces that muddy the picture she wants to present now.
Exactly. No lingering physical things that complicate her refined post-divorce narrative. It's emotional closure, but presented as a smart business decision.
Okay, and that actually brings us to our final thought, something for you to maybe chew on after this.
Yeah, because we've talked a lot about what this sale means for Kim, But maybe we should also think about us, the audience.
Right. We have this really intense, ongoing fascination with tracking celebrity real estate, especially sales. So it raises a bigger question, doesn't it? What does our collective obsession with these specific deals, buying this mansion, selling that ranch, what does it tell us about how we as the audience track and measure things like status or personal growth or even emotional closure in 2025?
Are we kind of projecting our own need for neat endings onto their very public, often very messy lives?
Yeah, think about that. Why do we seem to need them to sell the house to really believe the relationship or the era is truly officially done? Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're taking a single piece of celebrity real estate and treating it almost like an archaeological dig. We're really going deep into the symbolic weight of Kim Kardashian, Kanye West's, that Wyoming ranch purchase.
And the sale, importantly,
Yeah.
the recent sale in 2025.
Exactly. And what that sale truly signals about Kim's, her independent path now. Okay, let's really unpack this. Our mission today, really, is get past the usual celebrity gossip.
Yeah, beyond the headline.
Right. We want to analyze why this specific property, it's huge, 9,000 acres, pretty remote, why it became this physical symbol of one of Hollywood's biggest relationship fractures.
And not just the fracture, but also how rejecting it ultimately kind of underpinned Kim Kardashian's big pivot.
Her move into serious global mogul territory.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating case study. Because the drama is it's built right into the geography,
How so?
Well, you have this ultimate power couple, defined by LA, by luxury, global connection.
Totally. Hidden Hills, the whole scene.
Exactly. And then suddenly they trade all that for what? Cody, Wyoming, solitude.
It was jarring.
It really was. And the sources, they framed that 2019 purchase, Monster Lake Ranch, I think it was called.
Yeah, Monster Lake Ranch. Reported cost around $14 million.
Right, $14 million. And the sources are clear. This was way more than just buying land. It was framed as a statement of intent.
Kanye's statement, mainly.
Primarily, yes.
Right.
It felt like his radical declaration, I'm leaving Hollywood behind, this is the new chapter. And that really gets to why this land matters so much, especially in the celebrity economy. Real estate, for people at this level, it's rarely just shelter, is it? It's high-stakes branding.
It absolutely is. Every home purchase is a message.
Precisely. So when Kanye bought that ranch, he was essentially defining a new brand for himself. The visionary recluse, maybe?
Okay, I see that.
But the key question we need to explore is why that particular brand, defined by isolation, why it was one Kim never really seemed to fully internalize.
Let alone control.
Exactly. She never seemed fully in control of that narrative.
That sets up the conflict perfectly, doesn't it? So let's look first at Kanye's vision for it.
Okay.
The sources, they pretty much all describe the Wyoming ranch, not just as property, but as his ultimate blank canvas.
That phrase comes up a lot.
It does. What he apparently saw was just raw potential. Things like purity, isolation, and inspiration.
A escape hatch, almost.
Yeah, a space totally free from the Hollywood pressure cooker.
Yeah.
A real sanctuary for creative reinvention.
And his plans weren't small, were they?
Not at all. They were vast. Almost utopian, you could say. This wasn't just a getaway spot.
No, he was talking about relocating the entire Yeezy brand headquarters there.
Right. And building those futuristic dome structures we saw pictures of.
Those experimental domes, yeah. And even designing schools, community sanctuaries.
Wow. So for Kanye, Wyoming was literally the physical embodiment of complete, unconstrained artistic freedom.
But here's the clash. That very isolation Kanye craved. It's basically the polar opposite of how Kim Kardashian builds her brand.
Right. Her whole empire relies on connection.
Exactly. Connection, energy, constant visibility. Her success, KKW Beauty, back then, now Skims hitting multi-billion-dollar status. It all thrives in big urban centers.
She needs LA. She needs New York, Paris.
Milan, yeah. All those hubs. So that ranch, almost immediately, it just highlighted this fundamental difference in how they operated. In their working model,
You need a distance to dream.
and she needed proximity to execute, to make things happen. His empire seemed to demand slow, isolated creation.
While hers needed rapid, constant interaction with fashion houses, logistics teams.
Legal advisors, magazine editors, you name it, that whole ecosystem.
But hold on, let me just push back slightly on that idea of incompatibility.
Okay.
Couldn't that kind of extreme isolation also fuel creativity? I mean, we saw those Sunday service gatherings.
They were huge.
Hugely popular. And Kanye did produce music there. Couldn't they have found some middle ground, especially now, post-pandemic, remote work is more normal?
That's a really fair point. And, initially it seems like they tried. The Sunday services were, frankly, brilliant PR.
They really were visually stunning.
Totally. They'd successfully mythologized the ranch, didn't they? Made it seem like this spiritual, grounded family place, using those vast open fields.
Yeah.
It was powerful imagery, gospel meets high art.
Yeah.
But the sources suggest that for Kim, that aesthetic performance, it pretty quickly clashed with the logistical reality.
Right.
So while Kanye saw freedom in that isolation, she might have just experienced it as distance from her operational core.
You mean just the practicalities?
Think about it. Managing a global, complex, supply chain dependent brand like Skims from Cody, Wyoming.
Right. The time difference alone.
And more than that, every critical board meeting, every design session, every single meeting with lawyers for her activism work.
You meant travel. Lots of travel.
Exhausting private jet travel across the country, sometimes apparently and multiple times a week. It just wasn't scalable. It wasn't sustainable for her kind of workload.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Which leads nicely into the next layer here. The whole public performance of the Wyoming era.
Ah, yes, the photos.
We all remember those photos, right? Kim on horseback, dressed in incredibly expensive, Western-inspired Balenciaga.
Smiling against those Teton mountains in the background.
Yeah, playing the role of the ranch owner's wife, perhaps.
And the cultural commentary around it was just electric, as you said.
One of the sources even pointed out the irony, didn't it? The woman who basically defined L.A. luxury was now, temporarily, trying to define rural luxury.
It was perfect meme fodder. That surreal image of a reality TV queen in, dusty ranch gear.
Often looking like she was glued to her phone.
Right. Trying to manage this massive urban empire from essentially a dirt road.
It really became what one source called a cultural Rorschach test.
Ooh, I like that. Explain.
Yeah. Well, what people saw in those images seemed to depend entirely on the narrative they already had in their head, right?
Okay.
So some saw, maybe, genuine effort, adaptability, family unity.
While others saw Kim playing a role.
Exactly. A very powerful woman looking maybe a bit restless, maybe uncomfortable, like she was putting on a temporary costume for her husband's vision.
So the property itself became this literal mirror.
Reflecting their deep differences.
Yeah.
Kanye the visionary, thriving alone.
Versus Kim the pragmatist, whose whole way of working relies on motion, interaction, that constant buzz.
So once that physical location started defining their lifestyle,
the growing emotional divide just became unavoidable. It was right there.
And connecting that back to the divorce factor, the ranch didn't just highlight the divide, it kind of enforced it, didn't it?
It absolutely did. By late 2020, the sources paint this picture of, the physical reality was Kanye spending huge amounts of time in Wyoming.
While Kim was firmly based back in California with the kids.
Managing her businesses, which were exploding at the time.
So it wasn't just physical distance anymore. It was like emotional and professional incompatibility made real. Solidified by geography.
The ranch was Kanye's sanctuary, his dream space. But the sources really imply that for Kim, it pretty quickly became something else.
Like a reminder.
Yeah, maybe a painful reminder of a life path she wasn't on anymore. A chapter she really needed to close to chase her own ambitions.
Her own very different ambitions.
Exactly. And that's why the sale in 2025 is so significant. To understand why she sold it, you really have to look at Kim's post-divorce identity.
Okay.
Her life pivoted completely towards the urban, the financial, the legal. Basically the exact opposite of what Wyoming offered.
So let's shift focus there. Let's analyze the core of her new empire. The sources seem to break her evolution down into three main pillars.
Right. 3 strong pillars.
And we need to see why Wyoming just offered zero structural support for, any of them. Let's start with business.
Okay. Pillar 1, business. This is Skims, primarily.
Which is huge now.
Multi-billion-dollar status by 2025. That kind of success demands ruthless efficiency. So where's the operational base for a global fashion and shapewear brand?
Not Cody, Wyoming.
Definitely not. It's
Right.
Los Angeles, primarily, for design, creative direction. It's New York for marketing, finance. It's Asia for the supply chain.
Right.
Think about the practicalities, the tangible stuff involved in running Skims day to day.
You mean people.
Dozens of people, designers, fit models, marketing execs, all needing to be available basically on demand.
Instant access to suppliers, logistics, hubs.
All of it. Trying to run that kind of precision-timed, high-volume apparel company from a remote ranch, it's like creating a whole extra layer of complexity you just don't need.
You can't host urgent supply chain meetings when half your team needs 3 flights just to get there.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So that logistical nightmare alone basically makes the ranch obsolete for her business reality.
Okay, business pillar covered.
Okay.
What about the second one? Finance. This was a big shift.
Huge shift. In 2022, she co-founded SKKY Partners.
Right, the private equity firm, focusing on consumer and media companies.
And that world, the financial world, it has its own very specific geography, doesn't it?
You're not closing major private equity deals over Zoom from a cabin, generally speaking.
Generally speaking, no. You need to be in Midtown Manhattan. You need to be in London.
That investor lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's about summits, roadshows, right?
Yeah.
Constant high-level meetings.
Exactly. High net worth interaction. You need to be able to jump between New York, London, maybe other major financial centers in Europe or Asia very quickly.
That access is crucial.
It's non-negotiable at that level. The source material really emphasizes this. Moving into serious finance required Kim to be fully immersed in that global financial community.
A community that has zero presence in Cody, Wyoming.
None. Her partners, her investors, the companies she's targeting, they're all concentrated in those high-density financial centers. Wyoming is irrelevant to that world.
Okay, so business and finance demand urban density. Pillar 3. Law and activism. This felt like a very personal goal for her.
It really did. Passing the baby bar in 2021 was a huge milestone.
And her dedication to prison reform, her legal studies.
This whole area also requires a specific kind of proximity to the machinery of governance, really.
Really?
She needs to be near courts. She needs access to powerful legal mentors. And fundamentally, if she wants to lobby for federal prison reform.
She needs to be near Washington, D.C.
Precisely. This is a public image that depends heavily on credibility, on hands-on involvement, on physical presence.
You can't really build that kind of legal and activism profile remotely.
Not effectively, no. You need to be seen in courtrooms. You need to be meeting with lawmakers. You need constant face-to-face dialogue with reform organizations.
Most of which are based on the coasts or in D.C.
Right. Again, the Wyoming ranch just doesn't fit the practical needs of a serious, aspiring lawyer and activist. It's geographically inconvenient.
And look, we absolutely cannot gloss over the fundamental issues of just practicality in motherhood.
Crucial.
Raising 4 young kids north St. Chicago. Psalm. Imagine the challenge when your main home requires a private jet just to get anywhere near the routine.
The sources are quite clear on this. Los Angeles offered the stability they needed.
The schools, the cousins, the whole family support system.
Grandparents nearby, routines, friends, all that infrastructure was firmly rooted in L.A., Wyoming as a primary base. It was just too isolating, unsustainable for family life.
It forced that constant disruptive back and forth travel schedule on Kim, which must have been exhausting.
Absolutely. And beyond the emotional side, beyond the logistics, there's just pure financial pragmatism, which we touched on.
Maintaining a 9,000-acre remote property, that's not cheap.
It's a massive drain on resources. Think about the upkeep. Extensive staff needed, specialized ranch maintenance, never mind the security for someone that high profile.
Significant costs.
Huge. So selling the ranch isn't just, sentimental closure. It's a smart, strategic financial move.
Right. It frees up capital.
Capital and attention. Resources she can now funnel directly into the ventures that are aligned with her current path. SKIMS, SKKY Partners.
It's resource reallocation. Mogul-level resource reallocation.
Exactly.
Which brings us right to the sale itself.
Yep.
2025. This feels like more than just closing a deal. It feels like a statement.
A profound symbolic statement, I agree.
Why is the act of selling it now actually more important, symbolically, than the act of buying it back in 2019?
Because it represents the final physical cutting of ties. Severance from the narrative she was kind of tethered to through that property.
Right.
The sale provides closure. Emotional closure, sure, but also physical closure. She's literally shedding the last major physical asset that was intrinsically tied to Kanye's grand vision.
A vision she never fully shared.
Or sustained, really. Her new brand identity, as we've discussed, it's described as sharper, sleeker, more cosmopolitan.
The respected mogul, the aspiring lawyer, the activist.
Listen, in Wyoming, that was an anchor to the old life. The wife of Kanye West chapter, perhaps. Selling it is this powerful act of self-definition.
Declaring, pretty unequivocally,
that her future requires global urban infrastructure, not rural isolation. It's a choice.
That really feels like the definitive takeaway here. Her future just doesn't look like the wide-open plains of Wyoming.
No. It looks like the glass towers of LA, the fashion houses of Paris, the financial districts of New York.
Every move she makes now seems to signal alignment with that current global trajectory. It's like she's just letting go of baggage.
Baggage that simply doesn't serve her purpose anymore, doesn't fit the new brand.
So to just recap the central theme here.
The Wyoming ranch wasn't just a piece of land, it was a symbol.
A symbol of that fundamental, maybe unresolvable difference in what Kim and Kanye valued.
Connectivity versus isolation. That's what it boiled down to. And the incompatibility it highlighted during their marriage. Well, it basically sealed the ranch's fate in the divorce.
Making the sale pretty much inevitable.
Seems that way in hindsight, yes.
Okay, so our final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. In the world of celebrity branding, where you choose to live, it's arguably the ultimate strategic choice.
It says everything about who you are and where your power truly lies.
So by selling that ranch, Kim Kardashian didn't just offload a costly asset. She made a really definitive statement, didn't she?
A powerful one. That modern moguls, people building these huge empires, they don't just live where they can.
They live precisely where their demanding, growing empires demand they live.
The location serves the brand, serves the business, not the other way around.
So what stands out to you in this whole analysis? Does this resonate? And thinking broader, what other celebrity real estate moves do you think carried maybe this much strategic symbolic weight? Something to think about.